Sheryl Swoopes, one of the WNBA's most recognizable characters, startled the basketball world by publicly apologizing for her previous criticism of Clark. The sports world thrives on rivalries, views, and often passionate debates, so hearing a legend like Swoopes apologize was unexpected. Swoopes, with her towering reputation in women's basketball, has consistently spoken out about the WNBA's direction and the emerging players. Clark, on the other hand, has emerged as the face of a new generation of basketball players who, with their aggressive playing style and media presence, are challenging the established order. So when Swoopes recognized her previous animosity against Clark and offered an olive branch, it was nothing short of monumental.
If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Sheryl Swoopes' contributions to women's basketball cannot be emphasized. She was a 3-time WNBA MVP, a 4-time champion, and one of the league's early stars. Swoopes was often compared to the world's top athletes during her heyday, not only in women's basketball, but across all sports. Her defensive talents, leadership traits, and ability to perform under pressure won her a well-deserved spot in the Basketball Hall of Fame. As a pioneer, she established the WNBA's relevancy and brought attention to women's sports at a period when they were often disregarded. However, with that heritage comes the responsibility of seeing the next generation of players succeed. Many veterans, unsurprisingly, struggle to reconcile the game's progress with the standards that they helped establish. Swoopes, despite her many accomplishments, was not immune to this. As newer players like Clark appeared, she found herself at odds with their bravado and confidence.
Swoopes gets it right back for the Raiders, and 2 hits.
Clark exemplifies the emerging talent in women's basketball. Clark, known for her tremendous scoring skills and confident, even reckless demeanor on the court, has emerged as a rising star in college basketball and beyond. Her performances at the University of Iowa have attracted both fans and reviewers. Her ability to hit long-range jumpers, make game-changing passes, and dominate the floor makes her one of the most promising talents in women's basketball today.
It isn't what it is without all of you, so seriously, I mean that, and I thank you, and this is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general.
Clark's unabashed playing style, on the other hand, has drawn criticism at times. Some see her confidence as arrogance, and the older generation of players hasn't warmly received her aggressiveness on the court, but it has not slowed her down. Clark has clearly established herself as a potential WNBA superstar, with a burgeoning fan following and sponsorship agreements in the works, and her rise to stardom looks unstoppable.
Despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes.
The friction between Sheryl Swoopes and Clark became more visible over time. Swoopes never made a personal attack on Clark. Still, her criticisms of the younger generation's attitude, particularly remarks about their apparent lack of respect for the game's traditions, were plainly directed at Clark's on-court demeanor. This was visible in Swoopes' interviews, social media postings, and analysis while working as a basketball commentator. To many, it seemed like the previous generation of WNBA stars, led by Swoopes, was having difficulty embracing the daring and confidence of the current crop of players.
Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain?
Clark, for her part, was aware of the critiques but did not seem to let them influence her game. Instead, she continued to perform at a high level, often making the same moves and displaying the boldness that Swoopes and others seem to dislike. In an era when social media magnifies every voice, the public view of the two singers' conflict intensified, with followers on both sides discussing whether the criticism was fair.
That Sheryl Swoopes, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Sheryl Swoopes, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball, that's why.
The tipping point came during a heated interview in which Swoopes redoubled her criticism of the younger generation, pointing out that some of them lacked humility. Though she never mentioned Clark by name, the basketball world quickly linked the links. This interview triggered a firestorm of criticism on social media, with many younger fans condemning Swoopes for being out of touch and unduly harsh to a generation that is just changing the game.
Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
As the pressure mounted and the story took on a life of its own, it became evident that Swoopes' normally clean reputation was being overshadowed. What began as a generational difference has escalated into a full-fledged dispute, and it wasn't just fans who were speaking out. Athletes of all ages started to weigh in on the issue. It became clear that the WNBA needed unity rather than conflict, and Sheryl Swoopes realized it was time to confront the problem immediately. When Sheryl Swoopes resorted to social media to apologize, the basketball world came to a halt. Swoopes, renowned for her strong beliefs and unyielding confidence, freely stated that she had made unjust judgments of Diggins-Clark and other young players. She admitted that the game had evolved and that comparing players from various periods was unfair. Furthermore, she recognized Clark's amazing skill and love for the game, which she should have praised instead of criticized.
It's not to take anything away from what she's done, but if you're talking about breaking records, then if this player did it in this amount of time, then you should do it in that same amount of time.
The apology was more than simply a statement. It was a thoughtful assessment of how the game has changed and how the contributions of the next generation are just as significant as those of the past. Swoopes noted that her severity stemmed from her passion for the game, but that love must also allow for development and change. She also praised Clark for her tenacity in the face of criticism and expressed her eagerness to watch how the young star's career progressed. Diggins-Clark's reaction to Swoopes' apology was nothing short of polite. Rather than adding fuel to the flames or focusing on the past, Clark chose the high road, thanking Swoopes for her nice remarks and expressing her admiration for her as a player and WNBA pioneer. Clark said that she looks up to Swoopes and aspires to make a similar influence on the game as she advances her career. The incident became a watershed event, not just for the two players, but also for the larger discussion concerning women's basketball. It highlighted that generational differences do not have to lead to conflict, and that respect and understanding may bridge the gap between the past and the future. Swoopes' apology was significant, not just because the individuals involved were well known, but also because it represented a greater cultural change in athletics. The WNBA has always been about tearing down boundaries, not only on the court, but in the greater world of sports. For far too long, women's sports have been overlooked, underfunded, and disrespected. With talents like Diggins-Clark, women's basketball is finally getting the respect it deserves.
Ohio State is back into the man-to-man, so they're really mixing things up against Texas Tech.
Swoopes for three.
However, with that limelight comes criticism, which may lead to conflicts between the old guard and the young. Swoopes' apology demonstrated that the previous generation of stars is prepared to accept change and support the evolution of the game, even if it does not necessarily resemble the game they formerly played. The apology also emphasized the value of teamwork in sports. The WNBA is still expanding, and its success is dependent on the cooperation and mutual respect of all of its players, past and present. Swoopes' public apology not only helped restore her relationship with Clark, but also helped unify the WNBA community at a time when the sport's popularity is on the rise.
And the sad part is that record would never be broken because no one.
There will never be another COVID year.
COVID year. Well, there's
right?
never going to be probably another 5 or 6 years you can play in college sport.
Sheryl Swoopes and Diggins-Clark's public reunion is likely to have long-term consequences. As the WNBA expands, the league must maintain a unified front with past, current, and future stars collaborating to enhance the game. Swoopes' apology indicated that even the game's legends are willing to learn, evolve, and support the new generation. For young players seeing this unfold, the message was clear: honor the past while not being scared to establish your path. Clark's answer was essential, demonstrating humility, grace, and respect for the pioneers who enabled athletes like her to prosper.
Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Diggins-Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
As the WNBA enters a new era of heightened awareness, sponsorships, and fan participation, the league's players, both old and new, will play critical roles in molding its future. The Swoopes-Clark tale began with friction, but finished with mutual respect and a dedication to the future of women's basketball.
Klinger and Swoopes. Starting 5 and another 3 for Swoopes.
Swoopes' apology will be remembered as one of those instances in athletics when egos were set aside for the sake of the game. It established a standard for how criticism, particularly from senior players, should be addressed. Swoopes communicated a message that progress is never ending, and there is always opportunity for knowledge and change, even for legends. For Diggins-Clark, this will surely be a watershed point in her already brilliant career. She handled the issue with maturity beyond her years, demonstrating that despite the clamor and criticism, she is still focused on her ultimate goal, winning and contributing to the sport she loves. In the end, this reconciliation accomplished more than merely healing a breach between two gamers. It drew fans, players, and the larger sports community closer together, demonstrating once again that sports can connect people, even when their viewpoints disagree. Sheryl Swoopes' apology to Diggins-Clark was not just enormous, it was momentous. It marked a change in how the WNBA and women's sports in general address generational disparities and criticism. Swoopes not only made amends with Clark by admitting her shortcomings, but she also established a precedent for future interactions between the sport's elders and budding stars.
They have to figure out whether it's a zone or a man-to-man. They have to set some picks. And these outside shots, he was a big bucket by Sheryl Swoopes.
The WNBA's future is brighter than ever, and moments like these guarantee that the league continues to evolve in the correct direction, one that prioritizes respect, understanding, and cooperation. Swoopes' apology reminds us that sports, like life, are always developing, and those who accept change will ultimately leave the most lasting impact.
You know, this is a dream. This is something I wrote down on a piece of paper when I was in second grade, get a basketball scholarship, play in the WNBA. This is always something I wanted to do.
The WNBA has long been a hotbed of competitive energy, including some of the world's most gifted athletes, some like Diggins-Clark, whose rapid ascent has created an undertone of dissatisfaction. Also, Teresa Weatherspoon, the Chicago Sky's head coach.
You have to ask yourself that every single day that you live this life. Are you impacting the lives of other people? So I'm praying that the position that I hold tells people.
Recently made headlines at a news conference for what many are calling an unusual outburst, as well as her team's performance. The seasoned coach, renowned for her calm demeanor and great knowledge, surprised everyone when she refused to address questions regarding Clark and the Indiana Fever.
Keep moving! Keep moving! There we go!
How have you liked your attack on the offensive end, Spoon?
This event has caused significant conjecture and debate in the basketball world, prompting many to wonder, what is it about Diggins-Clark that is shaking up the WNBA so dramatically? In this video, we'll examine the controversy surrounding Teresa Weatherspoon's response and how Clark's presence in the league has changed the dynamics on the court, while also ruffling the feathers of established players and coaches.
Honestly, I think setting my teammates up, I think that just provides so much more energy to the team. It gets everybody going, and when everybody can touch the ball and get going in that way, I think it just everybody just flows a little bit better. The offense flows a little bit better. But that's something I take a lot of pride in. At times I think I can try to overpass and probably could be a little more aggressive to the basket. But yeah, I think with the weapons that we have on our team.
We'll also investigate why Clark's influence on the WNBA is becoming a double-edged sword, bringing both unprecedented attention and great pressure on the league.
Yeah, I think we responded well after we had to use that timeout early in the third.
To comprehend the full scope of the present conflict, you must first understand why Diggins-Clark is generating such a stir in the WNBA.
I think turnovers are costing us a little bit. If we can take care of the ball a little bit better, we'll be in a better position, but I thought we did better on the O boards.
Clark's performance on the professional stage has been nothing short of remarkable. She is not just playing the game, she is rewriting the rules and establishing new standards.
But they go in. Not only do they go in consistently. And the way she plays the game, she's the true definition of a great player.
Clark made it evident right away that she wasn't your typical rookie. Her performances have repeatedly been jaw-dropping, and her statistics prove it. Clark, who averages 22.6 points.
I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds. The curtains were down a lot of the games, and now
7.8 assists and 5.4 rebounds per game, and has a 34.6% three-point shooting percentage, is not only making an impact,
slowly developing and getting better and better. And yeah, I think we're just learning as time goes and each game goes, we're just getting better and better.
You've had an absolutely whirlwind first half of your rookie campaign. I want to ask you how much you're looking forward to this break, right, coming up.
but also creating history. These statistics are astonishing for any athlete, much alone a rookie. It's a little surprising that she's immediately been the focus of talks about the WNBA's future.
Well, she's definitely taken that golden advice, recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive 20-plus point rebound games.
However, Clark's effect extends beyond her statistics. Her impact on the Indiana Fever has been nothing short of transformational. Last season, the Fever finished with a 13-27 record, making them one of the league's worst teams.
This is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it. You're helping us change it. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much.
However, with Clark at the helm, the Fever have made a stunning turnaround. They're no longer the league's punching bag.
I think it's easy. Like, these people are my best friends, and like, that's not for show. Like, I seriously know, like, I'm not me without all of them, and they've had my back. And
instead, they're vying for a postseason place after already exceeding last year's victory total. Clark seemed to have revitalized the whole squad, transforming them into a formidable force.
Yeah, they've both been tremendous. I thought they played great defense. They've made great decisions out of the pick and roll or pick and pop. We got to keep going to them.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
The Fever's comeback hasn't gone unnoticed. They're playing entertaining, competitive basketball, and fans are paying attention. Clark's arrival has revitalized the squad.
More than anything, I know these girls are going to be my best friends for the rest of my life, and really that's all that matters to me. I don't really care if we win another game. It's just having these people in my life for forever.
Resulting in an inevitable increase in expectations. However, although the Fever's success story is one of the most thrilling events in recent WNBA history.
Yeah, that's just not a basketball play, but got to play through it. That's what basketball's about at this level. So I thought we've been really physical. We've missed some bunnies around the rim, and so hopefully those fall in the fourth, but really proud of our team.
It has also resulted in a slew of unexpected repercussions. With tremendous success comes considerable attention, not all of which is beneficial.
Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
As Clark's fame continues to grow, so does the hostility she seems to be instilling in her opponents.
Stephen A., I'm talking to you, Stephen A., if you had promoted the WNBA more, if you had talked about it more, they would have played more games. Like I had the power to go up to ESPN and say, directors and producers and cameramen and everybody else flock to the WNBA. At the time,
the WNBA has always had its fair share of rivalries and competitive edge, but what we're seeing now with Clark and the Indiana Fever is something new, more fierce.
People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, just because of one single game. And just looking at that,
one of the most striking evidence of this growing hatred came in a recent game versus the Connecticut Sun. During the match, Alyssa Thomas committed a hard foul on Clark, which many fans and experts deemed unwarranted and unnecessarily violent. The foul was largely viewed as a direct message. Welcome to the WNBA, rookie. It was a sharp reminder that despite her outstanding accomplishments, Clark is still seen as an outsider by some of the league's veterans. However, the situation with Thomas is not uncommon. In many games, Clark has faced more physical and aggressive defense.
Give it up for these women, these incredible seniors, and thank you for all that
you've done. Opposing teams seem eager to go to any length to control her, even crossing the line into unsportsmanlike behavior. This kind of approach demonstrates Clark's impact. Teams are starting to regard her as more than simply a brilliant player, but also a real danger to their success.
Honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball.
Clark's resilience, however, is her most outstanding quality. Despite the increasing aggressiveness and efforts to knock her off her game, she stays undeterred. She continues to play her signature style of basketball, making impossible passes, scoring long-range shots, and leading her team with grace and confidence. Clark isn't simply surviving the hardships she faces, she's flourishing in them.
I love her. I love the way Caitlin Clark is playing.
Given the background of escalating tensions, it's no wonder that emotions are high around the league. However, Teresa Weatherspoon's reply at a recent news appearance surprised many. Weatherspoon, a renowned figure in women's basketball, is noted for her wide knowledge and level-headed approach to the game.
I'm pretty sure I'll be in a three-point competition for everybody to watch at some point. Not everybody needs to freak out. So, but also like, the roster that we have in the three-point competition is incredible. You look at their percentages, they're all 40% three-point shooters. Like, they're shooting better percentage-wise than I am, so they all deserve it. I'll be there supporting, watching them. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just like take some rest and make a decision for myself, which is at times can be hard to do. And
that's why her hasty exit from a news appearance, refusing to answer questions regarding Diggins-Clark and the Indiana Fever, has perplexed many. In all of my years covering basketball, I've never seen anything like that. Coaches are often required to exhibit a sense of calm and professionalism, particularly in front of the media. However, Weatherspoon's reply was anything but calm.
I'm honestly proud of myself for doing that.
I so appreciate your honesty there. And I was talking to Diana Taurasi earlier today.
Her abrupt departure generated more questions than it answered, leading everyone to speculate on what might have provoked such a strong reaction. To comprehend the importance of this occasion, we must first analyze Teresa Weatherspoon.
Yeah, obviously nothing's official, and for this league, like, to me, it's like sky's the limit. You're seeing how incredible it can be. You can see how hard it is to get a ticket to get into the doors, how many people want to turn it on their television, how people are traveling miles and miles to come and watch and have an opportunity to interact with the players or just watch the players play basketball live in person. So, you know, obviously expansion is going to really help. The new media deal is going to help.
She is not just any coach. She is a Hall of Famer, a two-time WNBA champion, and a veteran of the women's basketball world. For someone of her standing to respond in this manner implies that something else is going on. One idea suggests that Weatherspoon's behavior stems from dissatisfaction. The Chicago Sky, on which she has poured her heart and her, is faltering this season, but Clark's Indiana Fever is on the rise.
And I think you're just going to continue to see it grow. This is really only the beginning in my eyes. It's the hardest league in all of sports with only, you know, less than 144 spots. Obviously that's expanding, but you know, I'm excited. The people that have been in this league deserve it, and then obviously the people that are going to continue to come into this league are.
It's conceivable that witnessing her team struggle while a rookie like Clark dominates the league is hard for her to accept. After all, Weatherspoon has spent years establishing her image and team, and suddenly a 22-year-old is stealing the show. This might be a difficult pill to take for someone who has devoted their life to the sport.
90 seconds left to play here in the first quarter. Looking for Reese. In fact, Bentley tips it away and off and running. Diggins-Clark.
The Diggins-Clark effect refers not just to her on-court performance, but also to how she is transforming the whole WNBA. Her success has brought the league unparalleled exposure, recruiting new fans, and creating media coverage that women's basketball has seldom experienced before. This increased prominence is definitely beneficial to the sport as a whole, but it is also causing a ripple effect that puts pressure on everyone involved.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not ever hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. Like, I think it just gives you something to work for. You know, it's a dream. You know, hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and you know, hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, you know, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director or whomever's over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was, you know, really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. You know, there's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
Are you looking forward to a break, you know, from Olympic action, basketball in general, I guess?
For years, the WNBA has struggled to establish its position in the cluttered sports scene, sometimes failing to attract the same degree of attention as men's leagues.
The craziness of everything that's been going on, and you know, just find some peace and quiet for myself. But then additionally, like, a great opportunity for us to work and get better, a great opportunity for myself to get in the weight room, to work on the court and work at things that I want to get better at that I maybe didn't have time going from college to the pro season. So I'm looking forward to it. But at the same time, like, we still have a month of games where we have a lot of opportunities to win a lot of games. So that's where my main focus is.
What was it like to trying to prepare for Team USA? Like, you were in Cleveland when they were hosting camp, but like, obviously you had other things in your mind, I think.
However, with Clark's arrival, the narrative is starting to alter. Fever games are attracting record crowds, social media is humming with her highlights, and everyone wants to speak about the WNBA. Clark is more than simply a player. She is a phenomenon who is transforming the league in ways few could have predicted.
Competitors, they're out there to compete to go win. And when you're in a different uniform, you're just competing to go win. And then a lot of times it's at all costs.
However, this sudden exposure brings a lot of strain. Coaches who previously worked in relative obscurity are now under scrutiny. Every tactical choice, replacement, and post-game statement is scrutinized more than ever before. Some may embrace this transition as an opportunity to get the recognition they deserve finally. Others, however, find it very stressful. Teresa Weatherspoon's response may be seen as a microcosm of the larger problem. As a seasoned coach, she's used to working inside a certain framework, which Clark's presence has upended. The increased media attention, the pressure to perform, and the necessity to adjust to a new style of play are all contributing to a more difficult situation for established league figures.
We did as a team, we spoke about it, we did what we had to do as a team to speak about how we conduct ourselves, and we moved on from there. The world kept speaking, you let the world keep speaking, but...
There's also the issue of playing style. Diggins-Clark plays a daring style of basketball with dangerous passes and long-range shots. This style contradicts professional football's old norms, and for more conservative coaches, it may seem to be an affront to the right way to play. Clark's performance demonstrates that there are other ways to win in the WNBA, but it also forces coaches and players to reevaluate their approaches to the game. Then there's the money side. Clark's success brings more money and attention to the league, increasing the pressure on everyone to excel. Coaches who are unable to adjust to this new age may find themselves swiftly out of job, while slow-moving players risk falling behind. The stakes have never been greater, and for some, this is a tough fact to accept.
The Sky shooting 38%. Diggins-Clark, another three-pointer.
As we look forward to the WNBA playoffs, it's evident that Diggins-Clark and the Indiana Fever will play key roles in the drama that awaits. The league's fans are ecstatic right now. The Fever's turnaround, paired with Clark's brilliance, has created the potential for one of the most exciting playoff runs in recent memory. Clark's presence, however, presents a big challenge to the league's other clubs. How do you prepare to play against a player who seems to have a response for everything? How can you stop a club that has been building momentum all season? These are the questions that coaches and players are considering as they prepare for the playoffs. Teresa Weatherspoon and the Chicago Sky face an especially hard path ahead. The Sky have yet to find consistency this season, and if they want to make a long postseason run, they must find a way to stop Clark. Weatherspoon's outburst at the press conference may be seen as evidence that she is feeling the strain more intensely than ever before. But if we've learned anything about Weatherspoon, it's that she's a fierce competitor. She may have been frustrated, but you can guarantee she'll be doing all she can to prepare her squad for the next task.
Her style
Being here is really hurting Chicago tonight.
Kennedy a guard, but so effective in the paint. And Boston now has gone back to...
Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever are entering the playoffs with confidence they haven't felt in years. Clark has given them the conviction that they can defeat anybody, which is a dangerous mindset for their opponents. The Fever's success is due to more than just one player, but there is little doubt that Clark is the driving force behind their extraordinary turnaround. As the playoffs come, all eyes will be on Diggins-Clark. Can she keep performing at this great level when the stakes are highest? Can she guide the Fever to a long playoff run and possibly a championship? These are the issues that will define the playoffs, and the answers will most likely have long-term implications for the WNBA. But regardless of what happens, one thing is certain: Diggins-Clark has already altered the league in ways that will be felt for years. She's more than simply a newcomer. She's a game changer, a pioneer, and a force of nature. As the WNBA evolves, athletes like Clark will help mold its future.
But Diggins-Clark is a special player. She reminds me of a Steph Curry. You know, a lot of times she takes those ill-advised shots that me and Chuck don't like.
The WNBA is undergoing a seismic transformation, with Diggins-Clark at the center. Her entrance not only raised the standard of play, but also drew increased attention and scrutiny to the league. Some people, such as Teresa Weatherspoon, are having difficulty adjusting to their new world. Clark's effect, on the other hand, is a step forward for the WNBA as a whole, a look into a future in which women's basketball is given the credit it deserves. As supporters, we are fortunate to be here at this historic time. The 2024 WNBA season is shaping up to be one for the ages, with the playoffs promising even more drama, excitement, and memorable moments. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual spectator, now is the moment to tune in, because Diggins-Clark and the Indiana Fever are doing something unique.
Final few seconds. Diggins-Clark, a career-high night. The Fever put up 100 and take the series.
So as we prepare for the playoffs, let's continue the discourse. What do you think of Teresa Weatherspoon's reaction? How do you see the Diggins-Clark effect playing out in the postseason? Most importantly, who do you believe will come out on top? Please leave your opinions in the comments section below, and remember to subscribe to our channel for more WNBA news, analysis, and updates. The future of women's basketball looks brighter than ever, and Diggins-Clark is leading the way. The only issue is, who is ready to take on the challenge? Did you know that Diggins-Clark has seized the limelight in women's basketball, putting luminaries like Sheryl Swoopes in the background? Yes, you heard it correctly. Diggins-Clark has become the buzz of the town, a household name, and the WNBA's brightest light. However, with that focus comes a barrage of criticism, and shockingly, some of the sharpest criticism has come from inside the same league she is revitalizing.
Here's Clark. Clark looking to take it around Lloyd. Clark bodies in and finishes.
Clark's contribution to the game is unquestionable. She's more than simply an excellent player. She's a game changer. She has been rewriting the record book since she first walked onto the court.
I think it's easy. Like, these people are my best friends, and like, that's not for show. Like, I seriously know, like, I'm not me without all of them, and they've had my back, and they do a lot of dirty work for me to be able to have the fun and take crazy shots.
And this is not an exaggeration. Every time she plays, she has a high possibility of setting a new standard, breaking a record, and taking the game to new heights.
Thank you everyone for being here. Like I said, I expect these crowds forevermore, because this is just the beginning for women's basketball here in the state of Iowa. Give it up for these women, these incredible seniors, and thank you for all that you've done.
However, her spectacular ascent has resulted in an equally intense surge of jealousy, and not only from her opponents. Surprisingly, some of this criticism has come from WNBA luminaries who, rather than recognizing Clark's accomplishments, seem to belittle them.
The people that have made it the most special, obviously my teammates, my coaches, but it isn't what it is without all of you, so seriously, I mean that, and I thank you.
One of the most outspoken detractors has been Sheryl Swoopes, a name associated with brilliance in women's basketball.
Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Diggins-Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be, and I don't think it should be.
Swoopes is a legend in her own right, winning collegiate championships, Olympic gold medals, and WNBA crowns. Her legacy in the sport is safe, but her recent statements regarding Clark have generated more than a few questions.
So I waited until halftime of the All-Star game, and so I went over and, talked to him for a minute and introduced.
Swoopes seems to have taken issue with Clark's attention and praises, and she hasn't been hesitant in expressing her opinions.
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time.
Swoopes made a bold comment, claiming that Angel Reese's game would be more suited to the WNBA than Clark.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
At the time, that was a reasonable perspective, particularly given Reese's tough style of play and defensive skill.
She had just made a shot or something. She came over to the bench and she just stood right in front of us and was just clapping at us, and we all, there was just a picture of us surrounding her.
But when Clark continued to dominate, Swoopes' words changed tone. She began to criticize Clark's game.
So I'm right-handed, but I love going left. I don't know how that makes sense, but I do. And everybody knew what my signature move was, but nobody could ever stop it.
Claiming that her NCAA points record was based on volume shooting rather than technique, Swoopes claimed that Clark was taking too many shots and that her success was based on number rather than quality.
Well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had.
Many members of the basketball community were offended by these remarks, and with good cause. Clark's accomplishments speak for themselves.
Tremendous. She just dominates. Honestly, we probably should have got her the ball a little bit more, but they play pretty much a front defense on her, but she's just tremendous. She's really good. And
she isn't simply piling up points, she's doing it effectively and in a manner that benefits her team. But Swoopes wasn't finished. Even after she apologized for her original remarks, she continued to attack Clark, both physically and metaphorically.
She's a senior, but I think her COVID year was last year.
Swoopes' criticism did not end with Clark's collegiate tenure. Swoopes continued to belittle Clark's accomplishments once she joined the WNBA. Despite the fact that Clark began to shatter records in the professional league, Clark has already broken many WNBA milestones, including the most consecutive point-assist double-doubles in a rookie season, the most double-doubles by a rookie guard, and the youngest player to achieve back-to-back double-doubles in points and assists. And that's just the beginning. She has also established multiple franchise records with the Indiana Fever, cementing her place in history in only one season.
Looking back over my 4 years is just, I'm very grateful, starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds, the curtains were down a lot of the games, and now
Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is, I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be, and I don't think it should be.
Swoopes has decided to dismiss these successes, instead focusing on other players such as Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. While these players have delivered outstanding performances, it's difficult to overlook the reality that Swoopes seems to be intentionally removing Clark from the discourse. This selective acknowledgement has not gone unnoticed, prompting conjecture that Swoopes may have a personal prejudice against Clark.
Those guys, I just put my head down, I focus on the work. You start counting, then all of a sudden you start thinking about the inordinate amount of work that you're doing.
Stephen A. Smith, renowned for his strong beliefs, recently chose to weigh in on the issue. Smith chastised Swoopes for her biased viewpoints, noting that it's hard to discuss the Indiana Fever's recent success without mentioning Clark.
Everybody else had over 20,000 plus. You think that would happen if Caitlin Clark was on that team?
He chastised Swoopes for failing to give Clark the recognition she deserves, particularly given Clark's significant contribution to the team's improvement in the rankings.
In regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes herself. She recently spoke on her podcast, Queens of the Court.
Smith didn't mince words, emphasizing how Clark has not only led the Fever, but also established attendance and viewership records. Clark's games had the greatest attendance and TV ratings. Despite this, Swoopes continues to minimize her significance, focusing instead on other players.
To me, I sat there and I feel very proud of what I've done, what I've accomplished, and I look at all the women who came before me, those who will come after me.
This has sparked a bigger discussion about why Swoopes and maybe others in the league seem to be disparaging Clark's achievements. Is it jealousy? Is there a reluctance to give the torch to the next generation? Whatever the cause, it's evident that this is more than simply a disagreement of opinion.
No, Caitlin Clark. Sheryl Swoopes. No, Caitlin Clark.
Swoopes' failure to appreciate Clark's achievements is especially perplexing considering her own playing experience. Swoopes understands better than anybody how difficult it is to accomplish at the greatest level, yet she seems hesitant to give Clark her due. Many have questioned if Swoopes is allowing her sentiments to interfere with her analytical process. Swoopes, a sports great, would go out of her way to belittle Clark's accomplishments, which is not only shocking but disheartening. It sends the incorrect message to new players and spectators, implying that even if you reach greatness, you may be forgotten or rejected by those who came before you.
Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain?
But if Swoopes felt her remarks would go unchecked, she was mistaken. Smith's critique of her biased viewpoints has pushed this problem to the forefront, prompting a discussion about how we recognize and reward achievement in women's sports. Smith emphasized that it is completely okay to criticize a player, especially a superstar like Clark. After all, nobody is flawless, and constructive criticism is a necessary part of the game. However, when such critique becomes biased or unjust, it loses its credibility. Smith also reminded everyone of Clark's amazing achievements on and off the court. She's more than simply a player. She's a brand, a representation of what is possible in women's sports. Her effect extends beyond winning games. She is altering the way the WNBA handles business, recruiting new fans, and giving the league more exposure than ever before.
Clark trying to shake Whitcomb. Step back is good. In the mid-range.
It's also worth noting that Clark's path has been challenging. She needed an easier adjustment into the WNBA. Despite her accomplishments in college, she experienced a steep learning curve when she entered the working world. In her first game, she established an ugly record by committing 10 turnovers, the most in WNBA history. The Fever's defeats also piled up swiftly, raising questions about Clark's ability to live up to the promise. Clark, however, did not allow her early challenges to define her. Instead, she used them as an incentive to improve. She worked really hard to develop her game, and the results speak for themselves. Since returning from the Olympic break, the Fever has gone on a 2-game winning streak over difficult opponents like the Phoenix Mercury and the Seattle Storm. Clark shattered several club and league records during those games, solidifying her standing as one of the league's top players. Clark needed just 2 assists against the Seattle Storm to break the WNBA record for most assists by a rookie, which had stood for 26 years. She completed this feat before halftime, securing yet another record. Her performance confirmed her skill and promise as one of the league's all-time greats.
The lead. Look at a shake. Corsten. Clark sings a pass. Ho on the wing. Connects.
Despite this, Swoopes continues to minimize Clark's significance, focusing on other players and even mentioning guys from losing teams. Swoopes seemed to be going out of her way to avoid admitting what everyone else already knows. Caitlin Clark is the genuine thing. This has resulted in a developing notion that some media members and former players are attempting to diminish Clark's successes. This tendency, whether motivated by envy, fear of being overshadowed, or just a reluctance to accept the new generation, is disturbing. It conveys the concept that no matter how much you accomplish, there will always be others who want to bring you down, but Clark refuses to let the critics get to her. She's accustomed to receiving criticism and has often shown her ability to rise above it. In fact, she uses it as motivation to continue pushing herself to new heights. Clark understands that each time she gets onto the court, she has the potential to quiet her naysayers and prove them wrong, and this is precisely what she has been doing. It's also worth mentioning that Clark's influence extends beyond her on-court performances. She's become a role model for young athletes, demonstrating what's achievable through hard work and commitment. Her fame has attracted new fans to the WNBA, and she is helping to raise the whole league. This is something to be appreciated, not dismissed. Clark?
On women's sports in general, but you're changing it, you're helping us change it, so seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all...
As Smith pointed out, is a game changer, not simply a player. She's lifting her colleagues, attracting new viewers, and advancing the sport of women's basketball. While some may attempt to downplay her achievements, there's no doubting her effect on the sport.
Look at his shed, Diggins-Smith. Clark lobbing it in. Boston draws 2 in the corner. Oh, you bet!
So what comes next for Caitlin Clark? If her track record is any indication, she's just getting started. Clark has accomplished so much in such a short period, yet she still has lots of potential to develop and improve. She has shown the skill, work ethic, and dedication to become one of the greatest players in women's basketball history. Skylar Diggins reportedly attacked Caitlin Clark during a WNBA game, and then Shannon Sharpe revealed the issue on national television. This topic has been trending on social media, and we're here to break down every aspect for you. Make sure you stay around because we've got all the background, responses, and aftermath you need. Let's get to it.
A little bit of everything in this one, but the bottom line is Seattle wins, and they go to 2-3, and Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever gave it a great effort, but they fall 2 points short, and they are now 0-5 on the season. My goodness.
To truly comprehend what transpired between Skylar Diggins and Caitlin Clark, we must backtrack a little. Caitlin Clark has been among the most talked about players in the WNBA this season. Leading her squad, the Indiana Fever, she is not only building a reputation for herself, but also ruffling some feathers along the road.
I think just reflecting back over my 4 years is just, I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds, the curtains were down a lot of the games, and now it's impossible to get a ticket to get in the door to our games, so yeah. I think the people that have made it the most special. Obviously, my teammates, my coaches, but it isn't what it is without all of you. So seriously, I mean that, and I thank you. And this is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it. You're helping us change it. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much.
Her ferocious competition, paired with her ability to excite the fans, has earned her a polarizing reputation on the court.
Yeah, I think for me, anytime you go up against somebody that's super competitive and, you know, has that same drive and will to win, that's what you love. That's what competitors love. These type of games is what makes our game so great. It's what people want to turn on the TV and watch. I expect the viewership numbers to be through the roof for this. Yeah, I can definitely relate to the pressure that she probably feels on the weight of her shoulders, and, you know, that's a lot to deal with somebody that's 22 years old and has that many eyeballs on her, and being able to manage that. And I know she probably has a lot of people around her that help her, and that's definitely something unique.
During a recent game against the Seattle Storm, emotions were already high. The Indiana Fever, captained by Diggins-Clark, dominated the Storm. The game finished in a blowout, with the Fever claiming a dominating win. However, the drama did not finish with the final buzzer.
Tisha Penicheiro's record for most assists in a season by a rookie. Here's Clark speeding all the way in to the cup. Boston gets into the arms of Clark. Oh, the cross over the throat.
After the victory, while Diggins-Clark was celebrating with her teammates, Skylar Diggins, a seasoned league veteran and Seattle Storm player, approached Caitlin. Skylar apparently bumped into Caitlin in an unexpected manner, which many are calling an assault. This wasn't a casual brush, it was a planned deed that shocked the WNBA community. Let's be clear, Diggins-Clark is recognized for her passionate style of play and her excitement for energizing the audience. She wasn't trying to be nasty, she was just enjoying a hard-fought triumph. However, Skylar Diggins seems to have interpreted this incorrectly. The event was caught on film and rapidly went viral, igniting a heated discussion on social media.
That will officially do it. Indiana gets its first win of the season against Seattle. 92-75 the final. As Christy Sides and Noelle Quinn exchange a long hug.
Shannon Sharpe, a former NFL great and now a well-known sports broadcaster, became aware of the occurrence. He was candid on his program. Shannon went off on Skylar Diggins, criticizing her behavior and supporting Diggins-Clark. According to Shannon, Skylar's actions were extremely inappropriate and showed a lack of sportsmanship. Shannon's response was a combination of amazement and fury. He couldn't understand why a seasoned player like Skylar Diggins would engage in such behavior, particularly against a rising star like Diggins-Clark. Shannon emphasized that Diggins-Clark is the WNBA's future face, and acts like this are damaging to the league's reputation. When Shannon Sharpe's words aired, the social internet erupted. Fans and experts alike commented on the scenario. Some backed Skylar Diggins, claiming that Diggins-Clark's actions were provocative and that she had it coming. Others agreed with Shannon Sharpe's, saying that Skylar's behaviors were inappropriate and unprofessional.
In regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes herself. She recently spoke on her podcast, Queens of the Court, and didn't mention the rookie when speaking of Indiana's rise in the standings.
The discussion raged on Twitter, Instagram, and other social media sites, with hashtags like #TeamCaitlin and #TeamSkylar trending for days. Everyone had an opinion, and the WNBA found itself at the center of a contentious debate. So what came next? The WNBA took note of the situation and initiated an inquiry. While the league has yet to release an official comment, reports claim that both players have been talked to about their actions. Depending on the result of the inquiry, Skylar Diggins might face fines or penalties. Diggins-Clark, on the other hand, has stayed pretty silent about the situation. In a post-game interview, she dismissed the incident, saying she is focused on winning and does not have time for drama. However, this episode has exacerbated her burgeoning animosity with Skylar Diggins.
To the rebound, Clark a good look. She got it. Had missed her first 6 from deep, but no hesitation there. What a dime! Clark to Boston!
Let's examine the rivalry between Diggins-Clark and Skylar Diggins. This is not the first time the two have battled on the court. Their competitive mentality has resulted in some heated battles in the past, and this most recent episode is just the latest chapter in their saga. Diggins-Clark, as previously said, is renowned for her fiery attitude and ability to get under her opponent's skin. Skylar Diggins, on the other hand, is an experienced player who has seen it all. The fact that these these two are at opposing ends of the spectrum, one a rising star, the other an accomplished veteran, only adds to their conflict.
Listen, I believed in her from day one. You knew that she would only get better and better. She's averaging 17.8 points this season, 41% shooting, 33% from three-point range, leading the league in assists. Her last 5 games, Shannon, 22.5 points per game on 46% shooting, 11.4 assists per game. They've won 4 of their last 5, and now the Indiana Fever are 7th place overall and in playoff positioning. Caitlin Clark is real. She's coming, and I still contend she should have been on Team USA, Shannon. You saw the attendance for Team USA compared to everybody else. If she was on that team, that wouldn't have been a problem. I stand by my position from day one. She's real.
Where are the people that Stephen A? Oh, she don't do this. She not gonna do that. Let her cook. It got so bad yesterday, the Seattle Storm, they pulled their starters so she couldn't get that double-digit assist record 3 consecutive games with at least 20 points.
But why is this competition so important? The WNBA is now seeking to expand its fan base and get more exposure. Rivalries like this one benefit the league because they produce narratives that fans can connect with. However, when things get violent or personal, it may result in unwanted press, which the WNBA does not need right now. This event has triggered a bigger discussion regarding the condition of the WNBA and its players' conduct. Some feel that the league must tough down on unsportsmanlike behavior in order to retain its credibility. Others argue that such situations are just part of the game and contribute to the value of entertainment. There is also the question of how the media depicts female athletes. Shannon Sharpe's words, although supportive of Caitlin Clark, also exposed athletics' double standards. Male athletes are often praised for their passion and competitiveness, but female athletes who exhibit the same characteristics are criticized or labeled as too emotional.
And 10 or more assists. They pulled their starters, and then Skylar Diggins, I think Smith her last name, she brought it to her, sped up. Let her cook. But if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd have told Skylar Diggins, get your coat, your brim, and get on out of my gym. Let her cook. I want to know what y'all saying now. Because she is legit. She's better, Stephen A. She's better than I thought she would soon.
The WNBA has been battling against the double standard for years. The league wants its players to be seen as strong, talented athletes, but it also wants to avoid the bad stereotypes that sometimes accompany that. It's a difficult balance, and events like the one involving Skylar Diggins and Caitlin Clark further confuse matters. As the WNBA season progresses, all eyes will be on Caitlin Clark and Skylar Diggins. Will their rivalry increase more, or will they find a way to move on from this incident? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, fans will be watching attentively. Caitlin Clark has already shown that she is a force to be reckoned with, and this event simply adds to her mystique. Meanwhile, Skylar Diggins must determine how she will handle the matter in the future. Will she apologize and make apologies, or will she continue to play the villain?
I thought she would be good. You and I both said she's going to be good because she got 2 skill sets. She can score the basketball and she can assist the basketball. So if one is not going, the other one will. But a lot of people say, oh, this and that. Let her cook. Y'all stop being petty. Stop being catty, because she like a double-edged sword. She cutting tail left and right. And it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, do me a favor, CC. Send your favorite uncle a jersey with your autograph on it, and I'll wear it.
Shannon Sharpe's words also had a big influence. His comments are important since he is a recognized person in the sports world. By naming Skylar Diggins, he has drawn even more attention to the problem and pushed the WNBA to confront it. Some may argue that Shannon Sharpe was only doing his job as a pundit, but there is no disputing that his remarks have poured gasoline on the flames. He's made it apparent that he's on Caitlin Clark's side, which may impact how the public sees the matter going forward. Fans' reactions have been divided. Caitlin Clark has a large following, and many of her followers have been vociferous in their defense. They regard her as the future of the WNBA and think other players are unjustly attacking her.
Let her cook. But if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd have told Skylar Diggins, get your coat, your brim, and get on out of my gym.
Skylar Diggins also has admirers, and they have been vociferous in their support. They contend that Caitlin Clark's behavior on the court was disrespectful, while Skylar was only sticking up for herself. This gap among fans has generated a lot of attention around the WNBA and resulted in some intense debates online. This episode has clearly hit a chord with many individuals, eliciting a range of strong emotions. While the incident between Caitlin Clark and Skylar Diggins is definitely noteworthy, it also highlights a wider problem in the WNBA. The league is still expanding and attempting to establish its position in the world of professional sports. Incidents like this one may promote or hinder that progress, depending on how they are handled.
You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark, because that gives fodder to those who believe she's being hated on and ostracized to some degree. Do you realize that, Sheryl Swoopes, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Sheryl Swoopes, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball, that's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
The WNBA has the chance to handle the problem in a manner that encourages sportsmanship and respect among its players. At the same time, they must be cautious not to crush the competitive spirit that makes the game so enjoyable to watch. So where are we going from here? The incident between Caitlin Clark and Skylar Diggins is far from done, and we can expect more drama as the season progresses. But one thing is certain, this rivalry has captivated the attention of fans and experts alike, and it isn't going away anytime soon. As usual, we'd like to hear your comments on the matter. Do you believe Skylar Diggins was out of line, or do you think Caitlin Clark should tone down her on-court antics? Let us know in the comments section.